Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel and to what is day 2 for me, day 4 for you guys, of me reading the first chapter of every unread book in my collection. So I'm all set to read the 4th batch now from my unread collection, so I was very surprised when I went through my bookshelves to count up how many books I've got that I haven't actually read. There were only 28 that I hadn't read in some capacity, so we're talking book 1 in a series. If I've read book 1 but I've got an unread book 2, I didn't count that because I've already read from the series, and there are some that I've already read the first chapter from as well, even if I haven't yet gone any further. So of those 28 books that were remaining, I've got 6 today to go through. I'm going to start off with a cover I love. This is Ashes of the Sun by Django Wexler, and I'll be back to talk about it in a few minutes. That was intriguing. I quite liked that as an opening chapter, or prologue as it was. We follow 2 youngsters, a 5-year-old girl and her 8-year-old brother. They're out playing, basically role play as kids do. They're fighting, she wins, she becomes the queen, that kind of thing. And then they see kind of dust, I guess. They see a traveller arriving, and we're talking a bit about the law of the world as this is happening, and they're speculating who this visitor is going to be on, this big warbird. It's quite an interesting setup. There's obviously stuff that we don't know the details of because we're just in a prologue. But the young girl is taken away, basically. She gets this illness every so often, and the Order, this visitor, this stranger, has come to take her away to look after her, basically. It makes it seem like it's this illness is maybe the sign of something. I don't know if I picked that up from the writing or from what I've gleaned from the synopsis and hearing about the story from that respect, but he takes her away, basically, and the brother doesn't want this, so he tries to attack this knight, this centaur of the Order, and stabs him in the leg with a blade. There's some interesting bits of the world building here with unmetal, which makes up the armour that this centaur is wearing, although not on his leg, and the Haken, which is it sounds almost like a lightsaber. It's a bladeless sword, so presumably there's something going to be forming that blade at some point. Only these guys, these centaurs, can use these Haken. We've not seen it in use yet, so that's speculation, but can't be a sword without a blade. However, they are bladeless swords, so there must be something there. It was very interesting, intrigued to read this one. I think is this on my list? I can't remember if this is on my list for 2024 or not, but it's certainly one that I'm going to be reading before too long regardless. I've heard some people read the series and really, really love them, and it's one that I've been looking forward to, so we'll go from there. Next up, I've got Stone and Sky. This is another SPFBO entrant by ZS Diamante, and it's got a cool cover there with the griffin, which is all the rage at the moment. Don't know anything about the series. Excuse me, I don't know anything about the story. I don't think I've actually read the synopsis of this one at all, but this was a gift to me from a good friend and author whose book I have read, and I'm intrigued to see how it goes, so let's find out. I like that. This is a good start so far to day 4 of this session. In here we start off in the aftermath of a battle. Basically, there's a soldier. It turns out to be a griffin god. He's basically wakes up on a battlefield. He's had a throwing axe in his side and he's lost consciousness because of that. And basically wakes up, sees someone coming towards him, thinks that this person's coming to finish him off, and actually it's someone who's gone to pick the battlefield clean and to bury with honour the griffin god, basically. But she finds him alive, she takes him back to her place, brings him back to health over the course of a few weeks. And after that we get a bit of talk between the griffin god and his saviour and her family, and we learn a bit about the history from that. So we learn about these goblin wars that have been going on and kind of what happened with the world. So there's quite a lot that we do actually pack into this first chapter. It's one of the longer ones at 17 pages, but there is a good deal in there. I quite like a lot of the elements in here. So we've got these griffin gods, as Orin, our main character, is, and you can see on the cover, and they're in battle with goblins on wyverns, basically. There were other things that were mentioned as well, Pegasi, and you've got elves and dwarves who all kind of combined together to defeat goblins in earlier wars. So it sounds like there's, whether it was a skirmish or whether it's the start of a new war against the goblins coming up, there's certainly something going on here. And our character Orin was the only survivor on that particular side of this battle. So there's going to be obviously quite a lot to unpack there going forward, to see what happens next, and whether there is war or whether it's going to be well, anything else, basically. But I really like the ideas in here. It seems well written, and yeah, I'm looking forward to whenever I pick this up to continue the story. Next up, I said that book was gifted to me by a friend. He gave me 2. This is the second one. So E.C. Greaves, I'm finally reading or at least the first chapters of 2 books that he got me. And again, this is an SPFBO entrant for this year. This is Primal Fury by Noel Traver. It's Trial of the Berserker, and yeah, definitely missed a trick there on Berserker, but we'll see what this one's got in store for me now. The character who's mentioned in here is Orsin, which is just an S apart from the Orin of the last book, so that's just random. Not too long an opening chapter, but there's not actually too much in here either, so it doesn't tell me a vast amount about what to expect from the story going forwards. We've got 2 youngish Furja, I don't know how I would pronounce that, but these giant bears, basically. I say giant, one of them's described as 5.5 meters, and I think the other one was slightly taller. There's another one whose height is defined later, and it says that even for one of those, he is massive at towering over 6 meters. So yeah, very, very large bears. Bearing in mind that humans are mentioned, they are a part of this world as well, and appear to be the kind of antagonists to these bears, to their community as well. They released something called the Herd, which is the big enemy of these bears. We don't really know what they are. We're not really told about them, but as I say, there's not really too much given away in here. We've got these 2 bears who are mentioned, seem to be quite young, and they're going to a stadium basically because there's going to be a trial, and it's a kind of a rite of passage kind of trial. We don't know anything about it really. We just get the kind of the elder given a speech, the same speech he gives every year to stir the blood of those in the crowd, and then it says let the celebrations begin, and that's where the first chapter ends. So I don't really know what to make of this one. There's some interesting concepts in it. There's various bits that are mentioned about this kind of battle back and forth between the bears and the herd and whatever they are, and it's entered into the language as well as kind of things to strike fear into the heart of the young, that kind of thing, and curse words and stuff. So yeah, there's obviously quite a world that's been created here, but we've not really seen too much of it yet. Hopefully, although it's not too long of a book, hopefully there'll be a good exploration of it to come at some point. Next up, I'm going to read another shiny. This one is First Evil by John White, a book that I know nothing about really. I've not seen this one kind of mentioned, I've not heard anyone who's read it, so this is going to be an experience as I pick this one up as a first time visitor to the author's work. This was an interesting one. There's quite a lot in here which remains unexplained in the first chapter. Often you'll get that and it's not a problem because it would be too much to explain everything straight away, and it wouldn't give readers the opportunity to be drawn in, maybe form their own opinions and so forth. But there's various things in here. You've got a time spike which is mentioned and then is seen, and there's a use of it that is alluded to that we don't really know, but then there's another use of it that a more direct use, I think, which we do see and was certainly, to me at least, unexpected. We've got strange things that happen with Mist, and well, basically we start off with a general, and he's got his body, the body of his son there. His son has died well, not in front of him, but his son has died, and he picks him up and carries him to a council of 8. Basically, these are dark dwarves, or curmudgeons, I think they are, but I'm just seeing curmudgeons in my head as I'm reading that. But yeah, they're dark dwarves, and the aggressors again seem to be humans, but maybe that's misdirection. He takes his dead son to the council basically, and he's talking about how he found his son up in the outer world, not the underworld, so to speak. There's an airship involved, whether that's humans or the dwarves, I can't quite tell, but there's an airship involved and there's humans involved, and he finds, as well as his dead son, he finds at the end of the battle, basically with all the humans dead, he finds one of the dark dwarves, a spy hidden under their bodies basically, and it sounds like he's a family member. He's close in looks to one of these council members, so he's accusing them of treachery. He basically, there's a coup, him and one of the others, they basically take over, they kill these council members, and that's where the strange kind of mist is, because there's still a dagger, it appears, in the body of the general's son. He takes it out and there's a mist that follows it from the wound basically. He throws the dagger to take out one of the council members, and there's a mist kind of double of him that kind of appears as the body drops away, as the council member is dead. So there's lots of kind of things going on here. It's all a little bit strange and so far unexplained, but certainly interesting. And what I did think was very interesting, I really liked the last line of the first chapter. They're going off to, after they've performed this coup, they're going off to basically meet their new people, I guess, their new followers, and this general whose name is Lothraxinor, which I don't like if he's going to be the main character. It's a bit of a mouthful to have coming up many times throughout the book. But he says in the last line, "They will have to wait. I have a god to enslave." So that's very interesting. We do have an allusion to this god. They're talking about the thirst, and the title is The First Evil, so there's a link there. But it's all very interesting and intriguing as to exactly what that entails and how the story will go. But the idea we get of the world I thought was quite interesting. It does seem like one that could have a lot to it. So this one, when I get to it, hopefully will live up to what was a good first chapter. Next up, I'm going to read Rob J. Hayes. I've not read too much of his. I've read basically one series, but this one's been on my shelf for the longest because I bought it because I love that cover. And book one of this non-sequential series, The Mortal Techniques Never Die, has just been released literally yesterday. I think I saw the tweet about it, in one of these lovely hardcover editions. So when I do get around to reading this one in full, if I do enjoy it, that will be there available. So that's definitely an added bonus. I do like these dark chapter title pages. I've utilised those myself for the advent of winter because I just think they look really neat. Hopefully this one's going to be an enjoyable story as well. A short opening chapter here that's got quite a lot packed into it in terms of the world. There are some very strange people, I should say, characters certainly, within this what was a prologue. We start with a school burning. That's literally the first line, the school burned, and there's basically this group, or at least a couple of people who've done this basically, and they're looking for something. They're looking for the final prison, the location of it. There's a bunch of sages. We've got the fifth sage under heaven here. I don't know if they are all sages or if the other sages are elsewhere, and they've gone through basically torturing, murdering these sages, trying to get the information, but they're taking the information to their grave. The two aggressors that we see, I think it's two, are very strange. One of them is described as having flames dripping from his mouth like saliva. One of them, his sister, is kind of a spider woman, and there are a couple of bits in here which I quite liked when being introduced to these. Basically, they're looking at this sage, and it says, he's so ancient, the old ones always taste of dust and lemons. And then when he's killed, it's she's sort of unhappy about that. Oh, that was so mean. They taste so much sweeter when alive. Yeah, there's some really interesting bits in here. I think there's a snowflake falling as well, and the sage is killed because the other character basically flicks this falling snowflake towards him, and it pierces him like a throwing star. Yeah, some interesting world building elements on show here, although without the explanation, if you have too much of that before you get into the detail of it, it can get a little bit confusing. So that would be my one kind of concern, I guess, with this one, whether that would be the case. But there's only one way to find out, and that's to continue reading onwards. Last book for today in this particular batch, and it's an old one. This has been on my shelves for over 20 years, since I was in a fantasy and science fiction book club in my late teens, actually. But this is The Company of Glass by Valerie Leaf. I've seen this available by another author, I can't remember her name, but basically the author has a pen name, and at some point there's been a switch, I presume, and she's gone to using her original name on the books instead. I'm not sure which way around that goes, but yeah, with this one, it is book one of Vivarian. As I say, I've not read this, even though it's been on my shelf for so long, so let's go find out what it's about. Men are animals, it says straight away. There's an opening. So the company of glass, we start off with this company in training. Basically, they're going out somewhere, and basically they're a company of 12. There is one who has broken his leg, so they're kind of auditioning basically for the person to replace this one. And you've got a bear and a snake in this arena fighting. It seems to the death, but it's not, but a very brutal fight. So we've got all of these different animal clans basically. So this bear is a big hulk of a guy, and then you've got this live agile snake who's fighting him. I don't know if there's magic or if it's literally just talking kind of medicine and surgery, but the snake has his nose broken, and they call out to him from the crowd, "Oh, don't worry, so-and-so will knit you a new one." So I kind of took that initially as maybe a bit of magic. We'll kind of create a new nose for him, but maybe it is just, you know, perform the surgery and so forth to have the bones knit back together naturally as they do. I don't know. But yeah, we've got this, and basically the one of the two, I won't spoil it just in case, succeeds and defeats the other one and joins the company. Meanwhile, you've got among the watchers, you've got the leader of the company and a woman who comes to join him. I'm not entirely sure actually on what the relationship between the two is, but basically they go off, and it ends with the woman, from her point of view, sort of, you know, waving them goodbye, or, you know, about to wave them goodbye, and says that will be the last she ever sees of them. So something's going to happen either to the company or to her whilst they are separated. There's a couple of interesting things in here. There's talk of a floating city, which is I think where the company is off to, and this woman says that she can feel the pull of its power, or the pull of its knowledge, and it's knowledge with a capital K. So again, that alludes to kind of magical traits within this that are not confirmed, let alone explained. So yeah, there's some interesting concepts in here. Floating cities are not uncommon, but they can be very interesting depending on how they are approached, whether you're talking you know, ways to get up and down, whether it's flight of some sort, airships, who knows. But airships in fantasy didn't tend to be around quite as much a couple of decades ago when this was written, so we will see at some point, I guess. So those are the 6 books that make up the 4th batch of 5, one more to go, which you'll be able to see on the channel from tomorrow. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these and what you think of them, or if you're interested in finding out more about any of them. I'll hopefully see you in the next video sometime soon. Until then, as always, take care of yourselves, read some good books. Bye for now.